Hey guys, King Kaiju here. Today we're going to be doing a Kaiju review, and it is on, of course, Lafleya, the Ultraman Nexus monster. As I said, this is a Kaiju that comes from Ultraman Nexus, and you can kind of tell just based on the very dark and somewhat saturated design. That's kind of a key thing that a lot of the Ultraman Nexus monsters have. And this is kind of their take on a plant-esque monster, because as you can tell, Lafleya is based on a flower. It's not a very pretty flower, but still, I actually really like the design of the monster pretty well, and that's why I primarily picked it up. I thought it just looked really cool. And I'll show you a little bit more as to why that is in the details section. Bringing Lafleya up close, you can see that she has these giant petals for a head/mouth. Then on the back, it's mostly just a bunch of vines and stuff like that, and it looks really good throughout every single part of the figure. I think out of my last few reviews, this is probably one of the best painted and sculpted figures I've looked at. They even decided to paint the individual leaves across the figure, and it doesn't matter where they were at, they just painted every single one of them. All the leaves that I see on the figure have some sort of paint on them. It looks really good. The back spines also have some blue paint, although it's mostly just sprayed on, not actually tacked on there individually. And the undersides of the feet just have a bunch of legal stuff on there, so there's not going to be any detail there, but they still look really good throughout everything else. The only thing that I can really criticize detail for is in the show, these antennae or eyes, whatever they are actually individual from this main stump right here in the middle of the flower. They serve as these tendrils or eyes, I guess you could call them, and they're not like one and the same with the main root of the flower here. They also are tipped off with these little white shining lights, which I guess are her eyes, so I'm not exactly sure why they decided to leave those unpainted and also just sculpt them in the middle here, but that's really the only thing I can criticize detail for. Everything else looks really good. Detail is pretty much going to be the only thing that carries the figure, because articulation and sizing, as we'll get into, are pretty lackluster and limited. The head right here can rotate a full 360 degrees, but this is how it's supposed to stay naturally. This is its resting position in the show anyway. And the arms can also rotate. They are 360, but you'll notice that it's kind of hard to get it past these shoulder joints, especially because they're very spiky, but it is possible to do. Sorry for busting up the camera there a little bit. But sadly, it is just going to be those three. There's nothing over here at the tails. There's nothing at the legs. It would have been difficult, I know, to make these legs posable. I still think it would have been possible, though. I have seen them pull off feats of articulation much more strenuous than that. So 3, in my opinion, is kind of ridiculous, but whatever. Sizing, like I said, is also nothing really to write home about. To kind of start off, here is a very basic monster. This is Gamora. And in my last couple of reviews, you've noticed that Gamora has been a rather short monster compared to everything I've compared him to. But in this case, Lafleya is actually quite a lot shorter than Gamora here. If I'm not mistaken, Lafleya should be at least his height, if not a little bit more. I don't exactly remember if she was shorter or not, but I'm pretty sure it's the other way around. To drive that point home a little bit further, while I do not have Ultraman Nexus, I do have a somewhat close resemblance, Ultraman Moebius. And as you can see, yes, Moebius is again a little bit taller than she is here, which again, I'm pretty sure it should at least be like this, but whatever again. I'm not sure how much more basic I could get than that, so I'll just compare her next to my last review, Magajapa. And Magajapa doesn't even fit fully in frame because, again, this figure right here is probably about 6.5, 7 inches tall. This one is probably closer to 5, honestly. And yeah, they barely reach 6 inches, if at all. That's going to conclude my review, though, on this flower monster. It is a very well detailed and painted figure. All of that looks fantastic on it. It's mainly just the articulation and especially the sizing that's going to be holding the figure down. This is one of the more sought after Ultraman Nexus monsters to what I know of. And while I don't think it's bad by any means, trust me, I've looked at figures that I actually think are lesser than this one as of recently. But still, for what you actually get on the figure, I think it's kind of ridiculous that some people are selling this for like $60 to $80. But that's really all I have to say about Lafleya here. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.